See, so far we are discussing about the data pre-processing techniques. In that data pre-processing techniques, we are discussing about the data reduction techniques. So in data reduction techniques, again, we are having three methods. The first one is the dimensionality reduction, and second one is the numerosity reduction, and third one is the data compression. In the last class, we have completed the numerosity reduction. So what is that numerosity reduction? We are representing the smaller forms of the data. That means whatever the actual data is present in the databases or data warehouse is there, we are representing the smaller forms of the data for making our analysis very easier, for getting the accurate result with that smaller forms of the data, and the analytic results will perform good accuracy, and we are getting that results in a less amount of time. That means our ultimate uh, result, what we require is, we require accurate result within less time, and the same accurate result with that original data. With original data, whatever the result we are getting, with that smaller forms of data representation also, when you perform that analysis, we are going to get that same accurate results. So with that numerosity, what are the types? There are two types: parametric methods and the non-parametric methods. So in parametric methods, some examples are regression methods and log linear models. In the last class, we have seen that there's a regression method and log linear models. Again, in regression, we are having two types: linear regression and multiple regression. So what is this parametric method is going to replace smaller forms of the data? What is the methodology it is using here? In parametric method, it is assuming a model, mathematical model. It is taking a mathematical model. It is fitting that data to this mathematical model. That means we assume that the data fits to some model. Estimate that model parameters. We are storing only that model parameters, and sometimes we are also storing the outliers values also. Here we are not storing any data values. So with that parameters values only we are storing, and we are storing that outliers values. With those values only, we are making that data values fitting into some mathematical model. That is the parametric method. Examples are regression and log linear models. Non-parametric methods. Here we are not considering any mathematical models. We are not fitting the data to any model. But what we are doing, we are performing the analysis on the data values only. With that data values only, we are doing the analysis. So what are the examples are histograms, clustering, and sampling. Now I'm moving to the next slide. So previously we have discussed about the regression analysis, linear regression and multiple linear regression. And the second method in a parametric model is log linear model. So next, all these things we have discussed. So in regression analysis, it is also a one of the technique which performs the relationship between the dependent variable and the independent variable. Here we are taking the equation as y is equal to alpha beta plus x. So your y is the responsive variable, and your y is also called the independent variable, and x is called the dependent variable. So we are going to find the values of these responsible variables. So suppose if your dependent variable is 1 and independent variable is also 1, means it is called linear regression. Here it is used for modeling and analysis of numerical data consisting of dependent variables and more number of one or more independent variables. We can perform the analysis if it contains more than one independent variable. Suppose if the dependent variable and independent variable are only one, it is called linear regression. Okay, so whatever the parameters we are taking, those dependent variable and the independent variable, so we are estimating those parameters in such a way they have to give best fit of the data. So here because whatever the data values we are taking, we are fitting the data to that a particular line. Linear regression means we are taking a line, we are fitting the line to that data points. So we are finding the error between the actual line and the estimated line. So our ultimate result, what we have to do, we have to reduce the error between that actual line and the estimated line. That is the thing. So how we are going to evaluate it? By using this least squares method, we are going to evaluate it. So in the last class, we have discussed all these things. So the equation is y is equal to wx plus b. Here we are using two regression coefficients. One is that w and another one is the b. Already we know that the slope intercept equation, all of you know that in the school level itself, y is equal to mx plus b. In that equation, m is the slope and b is the intercept. Like that, here we are having two regression coefficients. So b is the intercept of that equation, and here w becomes the slope of the equation. So here we are going to find that values by using this equation. So next, multiple regression. Multiple regression means here we are having more than one independent variable. That means in this equation, I have represented two independent variables. That is x1 and x2. I have taken more than one independent variable. Suppose if you are going to take one more independent variable, means b3, x3, like that, dot, dot, dot. So the equation is represented as y is equal to b0 plus b1 x1 plus b2 x2 plus b3 x3, like that, and so on. So we are in this way we are going to transform the non-linear functions, can be transformed into that above format. Next, log linear models. In log linear models, what we are doing, we are finding that we are estimating the probability of that data point. Here data point is nothing but your tuples. For that tuple, for each and every tuple, we are representing, we are estimating the probability distribution in a multi-dimensional space by dividing them into a discretized attributes. We are dividing them into interval attributes. So based on that, we are finding the probability distribution for each tuple. That is the log linear models previously we have discussed. Next, we have discussed the histogram analysis. So for performing histogram analysis, we are having two rules: equal width method and the equal frequency method. So equal width means whatever the data set values we are taking, each bucket contains equal range of values. The width of the bucket is same. For example, for the first bucket you have taken the width is 5, means second bucket is also 5, 5, 5, 5, like that. The width of the on the horizontal axis we are taking the width. So the width of each bucket is same. Frequency means on the y-axis we are taking the frequency depth. That means that each bucket should contain approximately the same number of data tuples. That is a frequency. And prati bucket lonu meeku, okay, on each bucket we are getting equal number of frequency values. That means each bucket should contain equal number of tuples. Suppose that first bucket contains, on the y-axis values are same for all the buckets. The y-axis values are same for all the buckets. For example, for the first bucket, the value is 5, means the second bucket value also it contains 5. On the y-axis values are same. That is the thing. Here I have given the example chart for the equal width. Here the width is common, not the frequency. So they are having different frequencies. The heights are not equal. So this comes under the example of equal width. Suppose if it is equal frequency means all the widths are going to be equal. All the widths are going to be equal. We are taking that frequency on the y-axis and the width of the bucket on the x-axis. This is the histogram analysis we have seen. Next, clustering. Already you know that we are partitioning the data set into clusters, means we are taking a property called based on the similarity properties. So whose data set values have the similar properties, we are making them into one region or called one cluster, and we are storing that cluster representation by using centroid and diameter representations. That means based on these considerations we are finding the clusters. So we are having many number of algorithms, k-means algorithm, k-medoid algorithms, like that we are going to study in the next unit. In the next unit we are having cluster chapter. Again we are going to study that algorithms in detailed manner. See here, it can be very effective if the data is a cluster. That means the analysis will become very easier, and also it give good results when the data is when the data is available in clusters. Suppose if the data contains smeared data, means damaged data or some any erroneous data, so we cannot perform that analysis in a correct way. So these are the things. Sampling also we have discussed. That means we are having some tuples or data sets in a database, or we are having some set of data sets in a data warehouse. So we are going to obtain a sample S to represent the whole data set N. In a total data set N, we are going to draw, or we are going to take some small sample S. That is called sampling. So for obtaining this sample S, we are having some methods. So what are those methods? Simple random sampling with replacement, simple random sampling without replacement, stratified sampling. These are the different strategies we have discussed in the last class. That means here what is the key principle? We are choosing a representative subset of the data. That means in a given a data set N, we are going to take a subset of the data which will give the same result as the total data set N. So what are the methods we are having? Simple random sampling, simple random sampling, next is sampling without replacement, sampling with replacement, stratified sampling. These are the things we have discussed in the last class. So this is the example. Next, we have started the discussion at the data cube aggregation, and this also we have discussed. Once again, I'm going to give this once again the concept of the data cube aggregation. Here, why we need to aggregate the data? Here in data warehouses, we are going to represent the data in data cube format, multi-dimensional space. We are representing the data in multi-dimensional space. So when you are representing the data in multi-dimensional space, that means we can analyze different attributes in different perspectives, in different abstraction levels. That means the user can identify, or the user can analyze the data, the user can view the data at different abstraction levels when you represent the data in a data cube format. That means each and every attribute at one level, each and every attribute is at one dimension. So we can analyze the data very easily. So here we are taking a sales data of a particular company from the years 2014 to 2017. Totally we are analyzing the 4 years of data. See here on the screen we are having a sales data cube. On this sales data cube, we are having the sales data per quarter or for the years. That means in a year we are having 4 quarters. Every 3 months it is called quarter. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So on one axis, x-axis, we are having the years. Some 2014 to 2017. 2014, 15, 16, 17 like that. So every quarter we are having that sales data. And a particular company has a number of branches. These branches are represented by A, B, C. So at a particular branch, what is that data? In this way, we are representing in another axis. Suppose we are having the data in that data cube representation. We are having the data in a quarter format. That means we are available with the data for each and every quarter. But for my analysis, I don't require the data in a quarter way or week wise or monthly wise. I require the data for annual data I require for my analysis. So in that case, what we will do? So whatever the data we are available, that means what is the operation we are going to perform? Already we have discussed. Roll up operation, drill down operations we have discussed. So roll up operation means what we are doing, we are aggregating. That means we are reducing one dimension. So as we are having the different quarter levels, we are aggregating this data into an year. That means if I want to get that annual data of 2014, what we have to do? We have to sum up all these values. That is 200 plus 400 plus 480 plus 560. Then it will give the total annual data for the 2014. If I want to get 2015 data, annual data, we have to sum up all these things. That means we are reducing one dimension and we are moving to that higher level. That means we are, by reducing that, we are moving to that from quarter to the year level. So that is that aggregation. So when you go for aggregation, so we can get that annual results. So here the same thing I have represented in a table format. So quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, for every year what is the data. So after making them into a aggregated year, so what is the total sales data for the year 2014? After summing up 200 plus 400, 600, 600 plus 480, 1080, 1080 plus 500. 1580, 1580 plus 60, 1640, 1580 plus 60, this is 1640. So for the total year we are going to consolidate or aggregate the data. That is the thing. So in this way, so that is the purpose of the aggregation. So aggregation can be done for different types of attribute according to your requirement. So here for a year we have performed the aggregation. Suppose if you want to perform the aggregation for years, age levels, whatever may be. So we can take that particular attribute, we can perform that aggregation of that particular attribute and we will get that total data, consolidated data. Next, the third data reduction technique that is we are going to discuss is, it is a very small one, data compression technique. The third data reduction technique we are going to discuss is data compression. So what is data compression? The name itself, it is saying we are compressing the data. That means we are reducing the data. That means we are reducing the volume size of the data. Why we require that data compression? So in real time for various purposes, we are compressing the data. That means when you want to transfer the data from one location to another location through digital format. So what we are doing, if the data size is more, means for transmission it may take more time. So that's why what we are taking, we are compressing the data into different formats. If it is the textual data, we are converting them into PDF formats or some another formats. So we are making the zip of the data, zip format of the data, and we are transferring the data to that another location through emails or whatever it may be. So in that way, we are using one example of data compression. For that, in data warehouse, we want to reduce the volume of the data for making that analysis easier. So here we are having two types of compression techniques. One is the lossless compression and another one is the lossy compression. Here we are having two types of compression techniques. One is the lossless compression and the another one is the lossy compression. So what is this lossless compression? That means whatever the original data you are having, if that original data can be restored from that compressed data without loss of any information, then it is called lossless compression. Once again I am explaining what is meant by lossless compression. See here, you are taking some original data and you are compressing the data. After compressing the data, you are reducing the volume of the data. Again, I want the original data as it is. So when your original data can be retrieved or reconstructed, your original data can be reconstructed from the compressed data. If you are getting that original data without any loss of information, then it is called lossless compression. So then it is called lossless compression. That means you are having the original data in this way. You are applying some lossless compression technique. Manam oka lossless compression technique na apply chestunnamo. When you are applying that, you are getting the data in a compressed format. Again, by applying అంటే కంప్రెషన్ డీకంప్రెస్ చేస్తాం మళ్ళీ, అంటే ఒరిజినల్ డేటా కావాలి అంటే మనం డీకంప్రెస్ చేస్తున్నాము. సో డీకంప్రెస్ చేసినప్పుడు మనకి ఏమవుతుంది, ఇక్కడ ఒరిజినల్ డేటా యాస్టీడ్ గా వితౌట్ ఎనీ లాస్ ఆఫ్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ మనకు వచ్చేస్తే అది లాస్లెస్ అవుతుంది. సో లాస్లెస్ కంప్రెషన్ అనేది విచ్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ డేటాకి మనం యూజ్ అవుతుంది అంటే టెక్స్టువల్ డేటా. అండ్ యువర్ టేక్ టెక్స్టువల్ డేటా ఆర్ స్ట్రింగ్స్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ డేటా, then you are going to compress the data by using some algorithm techniques. Here we are having the data, different types of data, textual data, string data, next images data, video data, audio data. Each and every data have the different compression techniques. So they are having advantages and disadvantages with that particular technique. So in that multimedia, we will study what are those lossless and lossy compressions in the actually in a detailed way. So generally, if it is a textual data, if you compress the data, again, if you want to retrieve the original data, we will get the original data without any loss of information. So the example for this lossless compression is textual data compression. We are having number of algorithms, CCC, IT algorithms ఉన్నాయి. నెక్స్ట్ హఫ్మెన్ కోడింగ్ అల్గరిథం కూడా అప్లై అవుతుంది. ఎన్కోడింగ్ అండ్ డికోడింగ్ చేస్తాం కదా. ఎన్కోడ్ అంటే కంప్రెస్ చేసి పంపుతాం, డికోడింగ్ అంటే ఒరిజినల్ డేటాని రిట్రీవ్ చేస్తాము. ఆల్రెడీ మీకు తెలిసే ఉంటుంది హఫ్మెన్ కోడింగ్ అంటే. ఇక్కడ మనకు అవన్నీ లేవు. ఫర్ యువర్ జనరల్ అవేర్నెస్ ఐఎమ్ టెల్లింగ్ వాట్ ఆర్ ద నేమ్స్ ఆఫ్ ద algorithms. నెక్స్ట్ lossy compression, that means it is saying we are getting some loss. What we are going to lose? We are going to lose some information or some details. See here, if the original data, we are having some original data, we are compressing the data by applying some lossy compression. So when you want to retrieve that original data, we are not getting the original data, we are getting only approximated data of that original data. Then that type of compression is called lossy compression. When you are not able to reconstruct the original data from the compressed data with that actual information, then it is called the lossy compression. That means when you want to retrieve your original data after the decompression techniques, we are not able to get the total information as it is. We are getting some loss of information. So then it is called lossy compression. That means some details which are not very important, those details are removed in lossy compressions. Actually, when you are doing the compression, what is internally happening? We are removing the redundant information, and again we are also removing the noisy data. In compression also, what we are doing internally, whatever the data, it is becoming redundant information. For example, I will take a simple example. Suppose in my text I am having CCC, III, TTT, like that. Suppose if a text is repeated number of times, the text is replaced by with some another coding technique. So without writing the same redundant value or redundant text number of times, we are replacing with that another code. So that means for eliminating the redundancy in the data which is present in the data, and for eliminating the noisy information, we are using the compression techniques also. That is the concept of data compression. We are not having any particular compression technique. That's why we are not going into the details of that one. For your understanding, I am telling. Here data compression. The first one is string compression. So there are extensive theories and well-tuned algorithms. As I have told you, we are having CCC, IT algorithm, Huffman coding algorithm, binary compression algorithms. Like that, we are having number of algorithms are available with us for performing the string compressions. They are called typically lossless. Why they are calling typically lossless? Because we are not losing any information when you want to retrieve the original information from the compressed data. That's why they are called typically lossless. Okay, only typical manipulation is possible without expansion. Here, next, audio video compression. As I have told, we are having different types of data: image data, text data, audio data, video data, like that. So each and every type of data has a different compression technique. The technique which we have applied for a text compression is not applicable for audio compression. For audio compressions, we are having different techniques. Okay, so for image compressions, we are having JPEG compression, JPEG compression methodologies. For videos, we are having MPEG, MPEG. So compression techniques, MP4, we are having the formats, you know that. So we are using the compressions like that, MPEG compression for videos, for audios, JPEG compressions, like that. Number of compression techniques are available. So with that compression methods, we are getting that compressed data. So typically this audio and video compression comes under the category of lossy compression. They comes under the category of lossy compression with the progressive refinement. Next, sometimes a small fragments of signal can be reconstructed without reconstructing the whole. See here, when you take the total audio compression or video compression, in that only we are taking some smaller fragments of signal and we are going to be reconstruct. That means for your particular purpose, we want to reconstruct only smaller portions. So we are we don't require that whole constructions. Ante whole thing ni malli manamu decompress cheyalsina avasaram lekunda we are going to take only small fragments of the signal, which we are going to reconstruct the things. So again, what he is saying, dimensionality and numerosity reduction may also be considered as the forms of data compression. So whatever the techniques we have studied, dimensionality reduction and numerosity reduction, they are also comes under the category of data compression. Why he told like that dimensionality and numerosity reduction also comes under the category of data compression? Because in data compression, what we are doing, we are reducing the volume size. By what we are eliminating in that, again we are eliminating the redundant information, noisy data, like that we are eliminating. In dimensionality and numerosity reduction also, we are replacing the original data by lesser or low volume of data, lesser volumes of data we are representing. There also we are eliminating that redundant information, irrelevant attributes which are not required for our purpose. Again, we are also removing the noise in the data by applying some smoothing techniques. Smoothing techniques, we are going to remove that noise in the data. So those are also comes under the category of data compression. So with this, we have completed the techniques of all the dimensionality reduction, numerosity reduction, and the compression, data compression. Now we are going to moving to that another technique, that is data transformation. So what is this data transformation? Why we require transformation? See here, a data warehouse is a repository where it stores the data from different data sources. That means in the data warehouse contains the data from different sources, but each and every source has the data of different representation, different structure. All the databases having not, they are not having the same structure of the data, or they are in the same format. So, but when you are going to store in the data warehouse, is it possible to make the data available with different formats? Can we perform the analysis easier when the data is available in different formats? No. The analysis becomes very difficult when the data stored in data warehouse is of different formats. So what we have to do? We have to perform the transformation. So data transformation is the process of converting the data from one format or structure to the another format. That means if that data available in different data sources or in different formats, we are converting them into entirely one single format. That means it is the process of converting the data or structure into the another format is called the data transformation. That means here what I have told, a function that maps the entire set of values of a given attribute to a new set of replacement values. So here we are applying some function which is going to map the set of values of a given attribute. That means suppose in a simple way I am taking here I am having some sales data. I am having the cost of or price of one item, a particular item price, mobile item. So that particular mobile item price I have represented in India in rupees format. But in another country, that same company has another in branches in another companies also. So that same mobile for price purpose, they will represent in another country. They may be representing dollars, or in another country they may represent in pounds. In another country they may represent in euros, or what are the currency available in their country. Based on their country, they will represent that particular product cost in a different manner. So suppose if that mobile cost is 10,000 in India, the rupees are in 10,000. The same thing I will replace, instead of taking 10,000 RS, I am replacing by $10,000. Is $10,000 is equal to 10,000 rupees? Respond me. Is
No,
10,
ma'am.
no,
No.
because the entire values are going to be wrong. So we require to take a function that going to map the entire set of values of a given attribute to a new set of replacement. That means we are taking only one common format for the pricing of that particular items. Either we will take only rupees format, or either we will take only dollars format. So we are taking that when you take the dollars format, we will take a conversion formula how to convert this rupees into that dollars. So we will take a function. So in that way, we are making all that price values of particular item into a single format. Like that, we can take many number of examples. Suppose if you are having the height, so I can represent the height in meters or in inches also. What is your height means 5 అనొచ్చు, అది ఇంచెస్ లో చెప్పొచ్చు, ఇన్ సెంటీమీటర్స్ లో చెప్పాలి అంటే 165 centimeters అని చెప్పొచ్చు, or I can say 53 like that in inches. But in one database they have represented the height of that particular persons in inches format. In another database they have represented that height of that particular persons in centimeters format. Again we need a function to map these height values into a same format. That's why if the data is not represented in the same format, when you are performing the analysis, it may went to wrong. We don't get that correct result. That's why we require the data transformation. So it is the process of converting the data from one format or structure to the another format, which is required for our analysis. So whatever the methods for performing that methods, what are the techniques we are having? Smoothing technique. So by using the smoothing technique, already we have discussed a number of times this is smoothing technique. So in the first data cleaning methods itself, we have discussed the smoothing technique. Smoothing by bin methods. Remove the noise from the data. By using this smoothing technique, we are going to removing the noise from the data. We are having bin methods. We are taking the different bins, whatever the data we are available with us. Smoothing by bin means, smoothing by bin boundaries, smoothing by bin median. Like that we have studied a number of methods. Again we will use those same methods only for removing the noise from the data when you are going to perform the transformation also. Next, attribute or feature construction. So what is this attribute or feature construction? See here, in sometimes we are going to construct new attributes from the given set of attributes. For example, I am having the data as height and some length and width. I'm having the data in my table, length and width data. For my analysis, I require the area value. So I want to construct a new attribute called area, which is required for my analysis with the use of that length and width data. That means a new attributes can be constructed from the given ones. So for example, in your student table, already you are having the data of marks of the students, but you are not having the calculation of average SGPA calculation in your table. So from that available marks of that students, I am going to calculate another new attribute I am going to generate from that available data. That means according to your purpose, we are going to construct a new attribute that can be constructed from the given ones. Aggregation. You know that aggregation means we are combining the things. We are getting the summarization. So aggregation eppadu use chestam? When you want to construct a data cube form, and that means when you want to represent the data in a multi-dimensional format, in different views format, we will go for the aggregation. So in a data cube construction, we are using the aggregation. That means in the previous example also, we have seen the sales data. There we are having the sales for every quarter. That we want to get that annual data, annual sales. We are aggregating that every quarter of sales that we are combining. We are getting the summarization there. Like that we can take number of examples. Next, what is the other one? Normalization. So in data transformation, normalization is also one of the technique. So normalization, why we want to perform the normalization? Because the data will be in a different formats in different ways. For making our analysis easier, we are normalizing the data. That means we are taking the data in a specific range. We are making the data, we are applying some function and making the data fall in a certain range. We are taking the range, we are making the data to fall in that particular range. So that means we are scaled to fall within a smaller or specified range. That means the range we will take either 0 to 1 or -1 to 1. So we are applying the normalization method, and entire our data data values of a particular attribute will be come to that normalization values. So whatever the ranges we are taking. For normalization, we are having again three methods. The first one is the min-max normalization, Z-score normalization, or sometimes it is called G-score, Z or G, G-score normalization, and third one is normalization by decimal scaling. So by performing normalization, we are having the three methods. The first one is min-max normalization, G-score or Z-score normalization, normalization by decimal scaling. So next concept is a discretization, concept hierarchy climbing. So we will go for what is the normalization, how to perform min-max and Z-score and normalization by decimal scaling. Next, min-max normalization. So in min-max normalization, what we are going to do means in a particular for a particular attribute A. Here, if you see here in the formula, min-max normalization to new underscore minimum A comma new underscore maximum A. That means they will specify what are that normalization range we are going to fall in the data. అంటే ఇక్కడ మీకు న్యూ రేంజ్ ఏ రేంజ్ లోకి మీకు డేటా వాల్యూస్ ని తీసుకెళ్లాలో ఆ రేంజ్ చెప్తారు. అంటే అది 0 to 1 -1 to 1 అనే రేంజ్ వాళ్ళు చెప్తారు. అంటే ఇక్కడ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 0 to 1 అనుకోండి, న్యూ అండర్ స్కోర్ మినిమం ఏమో 0 అవుతుంది, న్యూ అండర్ స్కోర్ మాక్సిమం ఏమో 1 అవుతుంది. అంటే వాట్ ఎవర్ ద డేటా అట్రిబ్యూట్, I have to convert that data attribute value to this 0 to 1 range anamata. So they have given one formula for calculating that, converting that new attribute value to this min-max by using min-max normalization to this range 0 to 1 anamata. Aithe what is the formula here? Note down the formula. Note down the formula. We will do some small calculation. Here the formula is B dash is equal to, that means we are calculating that new normalization for attribute V. అంటే న్యూ రేంజ్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేస్తున్నాం కాబట్టి దాన్ని V డాష్ అన్నాం అనమాట. సో ఏ అట్రిబ్యూట్ కి ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేస్తున్నామో దట్ అట్రిబ్యూట్ ఈస్ V అనమాట. V మైనస్ మినిమం ఏ డివైడెడ్ బై మాక్సిమం ఏ మైనస్ మినిమం ఏ ఇంటూ న్యూ అండర్ స్కోర్ మాక్సిమం ఏ మైనస్ న్యూ అండర్ స్కోర్ మినిమం ఏ బ్రాకెట్ క్లోజ్ ప్లస్ న్యూ అండర్ స్కోర్ మినిమం ఏ. This can be understood by taking a small example here. Suppose the income range is from 12,000 to 98,000. అంటే ఒక ఇన్కమ్ అనే అట్రిబ్యూట్ ఉంది, ఆ ఇన్కమ్ రేంజెస్ ఎలా ఉన్నాయంట, వాటి యొక్క మినిమం మాక్సిమం వాల్యూస్ మనకి తెలియాలి. దే ఫెల్ అండర్ ద రేంజ్ ఆఫ్ 12,000 to 98,000. సో మినిమం వాల్యూ ఈజ్ 12,000. అంటే ఇక్కడ పైన ఉన్న ఫార్ములాలో మనం మినిమం ఆఫ్ ఏ అంటే ఏం వాడాలి, 12,000 వాడాలి. What is the maximum value of that income? 98,000. So for that particular attribute A, అంటే ఇన్కమ్ అనేది అట్రిబ్యూట్, ఆ ఇన్కమ్ అనే అట్రిబ్యూట్ కి మినిమమ్ మాక్సిమం వాల్యూస్ ఇక్కడ మనకి తెలుస్తున్నాయి ఫార్ములాలో. వాటిని నార్మలైజ్ చేయాలి. నార్మలైజ్ టు ఏ రేంజ్ 0 to 1. ఇక్కడ మీకు ఆల్రెడీ చెప్పాను రేంజ్ ఏమి ఇచ్చారు ఇక్కడ 0 to 1. అంటే న్యూ అండర్ స్కోర్ మినిమం ఏమో 0, న్యూ అండర్ స్కోర్ మాక్సిమం ఏమో 1. ఓకేనా? సో దెన్ 73,000 is mapped to this. Suppose if you are having a value of 73,000 income of a person, this after normalization what this value is going to be become. ఈ 73,000 అనేది మ్యాపింగ్ అయిన తర్వాత ఏమవుతుంది అనేది మనం క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయాలి. సో మనం ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేస్తుంది V డాష్. అంటే V డాష్ 73,000 మ్యాపింగ్ అయిన తర్వాత ఏ వాల్యూ వస్తుందో మనం ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలి. సో V అంటే ఏంటి, దీనికి మనం క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేస్తున్నాం. 73,600 మైనస్ మినిమం ఏ అంటే ఇక్కడ ఎంత 12,000 డివైడెడ్ బై మాక్సిమం ఏ మైనస్ మినిమం ఏ 98,000 మైనస్ 12,000. వి హావ్ డన్. నెక్స్ట్ న్యూ అండర్ స్కోర్ మాక్సిమం ఏ మైనస్ న్యూ అండర్ స్కోర్, వాడు ఇచ్చిన రేంజ్ ఏంటి 0, 1. సో ఫస్ట్ మాక్సిమం కాబట్టి 1 మైనస్ మినిమం ఎంత 0 ప్లస్ ఫార్ములాలో ఏముంది న్యూ అండర్ స్కోర్ మినిమం ఆఫ్ ఏ, న్యూ మినిమం ఎంత 0. సో ఆఫ్టర్ పెర్ఫార్మింగ్ ద క్యాల్కులేషన్ we are getting the value of 0.716. So this 73,000 falls under the range of normalization, which is the value in between 0 to 1. అంటే ఈ 0 to 1 range లోకి వెళ్ళి దీని వాల్యూ ఎంత వచ్చింది 0.716. So in this way we have to calculate min max normalization by using the formula which we have specified. Okay, Hope you understood that formula and calculation for min-max normalization. Have you understood? Have you understood the small calculation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm moving to that another normalization, that is G-score normalization. So G-score normalization, we need two values. One is the mean value and another one is the standard deviation value. So for calculating the G-score normalization, we require mean value and the standard deviation value. So here, I think the formula is not completely, this was overlapped. I will read the formula. So the formula is B dash is equal to V minus mu A. Mu A is nothing but attribute, mean of that attribute A. For which attribute you are going to find out that mu is nothing but mean. V minus mu A divided by sigma A. Sigma is nothing but standard deviation. Here for calculating the Z-score normalization, we require two attributes. One is the mean and the other one is the standard deviation. So the formula is V dash is equal to V minus. For example, I want to calculate for the attribute of previously 73,600 minus. They will give the mean value and the standard deviation values. So we have to subtract that mean value and divide it by standard deviation. So then you will get that Z-score normalization. Next one is normalization by decimal scaling. Normalization by decimal scaling. So when you want to perform the normalization by decimal scaling means, for example, I have the number, an attribute A. That means for an attribute A, the minimum and maximum values of that attribute A is 920 to 970. ఒక పర్టికులర్ అట్రిబ్యూట్ కి మినిమం అండ్ మాక్సిమం వాల్యూస్ ఎక్కడి నుంచి ఎక్కడి వరకు ఉన్నాయంట 920 నుంచి 980 వరకు ఉన్నాయి. సో ఆ 80 వరకు ఉంటే దాన్ని మనము హౌ వి ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు పెర్ఫార్మ్ ద నార్మలైజేషన్ బై యూజింగ్ డెసిమల్ స్కేలింగ్. సో ఉన్న మనకి రేంజ్ ఆఫ్ వాల్యూస్ లో మాక్సిమం వాల్యూ ఏంటి 986. దట్ 986 అంటే మనకి దేనికి దగ్గరగా ఉంది, డెసిమల్ ప్లేసింగ్ కి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు 1000. అంటే ఇక్కడ వాట్ ఈస్ ద జే వీఆర్ కన్సిడరింగ్ దట్ జే షుడ్ బి టేక్ దట్ వాల్యూ 3 అన్నమాట. సో మనకి చేయాల్సిన వాల్యూ ఏంటి 986. 986 డివైడెడ్ బై 10 క్యూబ్. సో 986 డివైడెడ్ బై 1000 అంటే ఏమవుతుంది 0.986 అవుతుంది. సో ఆఫ్టర్ కన్వర్షన్ బై నార్మలైజేషన్ బై డెసిమల్ స్కేలింగ్ వీఆర్ గెటింగ్ ద 0.986. సో ఇన్ దట్ వే దిస్ ఈస్ ద ఫార్ములా ఫర్ పెర్ఫార్మింగ్ normalization by decimal scaling. So this is nothing but V dash is equal to V by 10 power j. That means we are moving that particular attribute data value to this decimal point values. అంటే మనకున్న attribute data value ని మనం some decimal point values లోకి మనము మూవ్ చేస్తున్నాం అన్నమాట. సో 986 ఉన్నది, దాన్ని 3 decimal points లోకి మనం మూవ్ చేసేసి మనం 0 to 1 రేంజ్ లోకి తీసుకొస్తున్నాము. సో 0 to 1 రేంజ్ లోకి తీసుకొస్తున్నామంటే ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ఏమవుతుంది 0.986 అవుతుంది. అంటే డివైడెడ్ బై 986 డివైడెడ్ బై 10 క్యూబ్ అయ్యాలి. వీఆర్ మూవింగ్ ద డెసిమల్ పాయింట్ వాల్యూస్ ఆఫ్ దట్ పర్టికులర్ attribute data value by performing normalization by decimal scaling. So up to this we are having that we have completed all that data transformation techniques అన్ని అయిపోయినాయి మనకి. ఇంకా డిస్క్రిటైజేషన్ మిగిలింది. So in tomorrow's class, I will explain the discretization technique. So what we have discussed today, data transformation. Transformation means we are representing the data from one format or structure to that another format, which is easy for the analysis by applying that data mining algorithm. So we are having smoothing method. We are able to do attribute feature construction methods. Smoothing means we are going to remove the noise. Attribute feature construction means new attributes are going to be constructed from that given set. And aggregation method, sometimes we will go for that data cube construction format for getting the summarization of that data. Next, normalization method. In the normalization we are having min-max normalization, Z-score normalization, and normalization by decimal scaling. So whatever the data values we are having for a particular attribute, for that particular data attribute values, we are going to take them into some set of range of values. The set of range may be 0 to 1, either 0 to 1 or -1 to 1. We are having three different formulas for this: min-max normalization and G-score normalization, and that decimal normalization by decimal scaling. So with this, I am concluding. So are you